Hi everyone, this is Anton Roeger with APC Data Analytics. Thanks for joining us this afternoon on our webinar, and what we're going to cover today mostly is on the star ratings and property adjustments, just go into further detail on how to calculate for those and how APC works for you as the agent. So what we're going to do today is we're in the Charleston MLS, and what we're going to do today is create a new chart and explain to you through our system how we're accounting for property adjustments. So what I wanted to do today is go through and up here at the top, so we have clients, properties, all our old charts for an agent, my charts, and we're going to create a new chart today. So on the new chart, what we're going to do is come down here and, we're not going to do a full analysis today. We really want to focus on the property adjustments. So I'm going to go select a property that I've done previously. And again, this is an old property, 123 Main Street. We'll do a quick search on this one. So it's a single family detached. We'll pick the subdivision of this property. We'll stay under a certain price range. So let's stay under $500,000. And there's plenty of comps in this set. So I'm only going to go back for 6 months. So if I go back 6 months, this is what the data will pull up anything that has active, pending, and closed in the past 6 months. So when I look at it, you have 4 active, 4 pending, and 14 closed. So now when I go and look at the data set, if I generate a chart, let's say I want to use all 14 of these. If I generate a chart, what it's going to create for me is our analysis that's the price versus square footage, with the blue house being the subject property that we're evaluating. That's this house at 123 Main Street. That's 1,850 square feet. So when you look at it, again, the reds are the closed sales, greens are the actives, yellows are the under contracts. So what we want to focus on today are these pricing bands, which are created with the closed data, and this is how you adjust the ratings. So we're going to focus on the ratings today. So for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to eliminate the actives and the pendings. So when you're dealing with a seller client, let's focus on the sold comps. So all those reds are the sold comps. So when I look at the sold comps, I know this dark blue line is going to be the best fit of the sold comps only. So this is saying if I'm closing on this line, I'm an exactly average home. And we want the agents to use these as pricing bands. So here's your average price home at any square foot in this neighborhood. This is the first pricing band here, where a majority of the comps are going to close within this band. So when we look at this band, and again, this is mathematically, it's fine if you say a majority of the comps will close within this band. Mathematically, it's 68%. So 68% will close within here. This second pricing set of bands from here to here, that will be 95% of the comps will close within this area here. But again, almost all will close within this range, and a majority will close it within this range, with this being the exactly average price home at a specific square footage. So what we want to be able to do is adjust, because we know when you first run an analysis on this and it populates here, this blue house, that's the subject property, that's showing it 1,850 square feet, the price is $408,809. So that is the exactly average price for a home with these set of comps at 1,850 square feet. However, it is taking into consideration already seasonality adjustment here and the market conditions adjustment. We're not going to cover those today, but this $6,000 upgrade on the house from average is why you see this closing above the average line. What we're going to cover today is the adjustments in property ratings here. So what we're allowing agents to do is that we know that the average house will close where this house is located, but we know in this neighborhood, this is almost like a consumer demand evaluation of this neighborhood. So it's saying superior houses will close up in this range here, inferior houses down here, but a majority of the comps will close within this range right here. So what we've done is we've given the agent the ability to do is that once it first runs the program, it's assuming the house is average across the board. So we're going to star ratings. So these star ratings show that everything's average across the board. Now, we've let the agent evaluate for site, layout, condition, and quality. So those are the 4 reasons an agent can adjust the ratings. Now, keep in mind, a lot of other CMAs and other programs, they have you adjust all the properties, the closed properties. So you might be able to go into this one and say, well, this one has a new roof, it has this, it has that. So I can adjust with values higher or lower. Now, as an agent myself for the past 20 years, I don't know how in the world I would be able to do that mathematically and be accurate. So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, just assume if the house is average, we believe this is the range the house is valued in. But think about site for a second, and we have info buttons here to describe site, layout, condition, and quality. Well, let's talk about site for a second. So site is specifically related to the lot. Let's say you're on a listing appointment and you drive up to the house and it's nicely tucked on a cul-de-sac and it has a private wooded backyard and it's fenced and it's a bigger than average lot. Well, think about what the consumer is going to say when they walk into it. If it has all those really positive characteristics, well, it's an above average site compared to these other properties. You can simply come down and rate it a different rating. So let's just take site, for instance. So site, let's say it has all those positive characteristics and it's one of the nicest lots in the neighborhood. You can simply go down here and say, you know what, that's a buyer is going to consider that to be a superior site. So I'm going to rate it a 5-star. So watch what happens. When I rate it higher, it's not only going to change the location for me on my chart, it's also going to change the value for me. And it shows where you're positioned relative to the closed comps, relative to the average line in the pricing bands, but it also gives you that value. So we've gone from roughly 408, 800 up to 420, almost 425. So, we've changed the price of the house, $16,000, for having one of the best lots in the neighborhood. But mathematically, the consumer demand has shown us that buyers are willing to pay up, in higher bands for nicer homes. So we've just adjusted the site there. Now, negative for the site could be, well, it backs up to a main road. It's a really small lot. You're tied up against your neighbors. It's on a busy, main drive into the neighborhood. So there could be negative reasons, which would just take the value down if you adjust it to a lower rating. So let's talk about layout for a second. And again, site is just think about what the buyer response and feedback from that agent's going to be if they come through the house. On the layout side of things, so for the layout, what's popular in this neighborhood? Are people looking for, in 2020, people are looking for open plans? Is it 3 bedrooms versus 4 bedrooms? Does it have a screen porch? Is it, a 2-car garage versus a 1-car garage? So think again about all the positive and negatives. So on the layout, let's say it is a 1-story, with an open plan. It has a porch and a 2-car garage. Maybe it's not the perfect layout, but a buyer would have a positive response. You can change the rating again. So let's say we change it to 4 stars. Again, it's adjusting it in the value range here. And at the same time, it's adjusting the price. So again, we've rated it for site, layout, condition. So now make sure to distinguish condition and quality. So condition is specifically how the house has been maintained. So let's say, you're in this house and you're evaluating it and the roof is 15 years old and it looks like all the neighbors around it have replaced their roof and this one has not. Maybe the HVAC was replaced a few years ago and the house is, okay maintained. Maybe you're like, well, because it needs a new roof, you can rate the condition a little bit lower because that's going to be a concern of buyers. So if I rated a 2-star for condition, again, it's going to bring it back down, change the value for me. And then the last item is quality. So quality is more on the upgrades. So let's say every house in this neighborhood had hardwood floors and granite countertops and stainless appliances. Well, and you do as well, then your average, just because it has those features doesn't make it necessarily above average. It's relative to to the comps, relative to the other properties. So if you feel like a buyer is going to have, you know, it's fine, you know, maybe I do things differently, but it's not bad, it's kind of an average rating, you can just leave it as average. So what you're doing in here is you're basically, think about the feedback that either the buyer's agent or the buyer will have on the property. And again, they're going to give you feedback relative to the other house they're looking at. So if we populate the actives on here and then the pendings, these are other homes that buyers would have maybe considered if it's under contract or would currently consider if it's for sale. And you can see the differences, and we wanted to populate with the pictures because this is the easiest way for you as the agent to kind of quickly gauge of, hey, is this house going to be better or worse than the others for those 4 characteristics. If I go to this house right here and I start scrolling through the pictures, I realize, okay, well, it looks like they have neutral paint in here, hardwoods. It looks really nicely staged, you know, not too much furniture in there, new light fixtures. You know, as we continue down the path, it's like, okay, it's white, bright, you know, new bathroom, you know, the master bathroom, huge shower in there that's all modernized. So, you know, updated kitchen. So this is a very positive house, and that's for those characteristics, and that's why it closed in the upper band. So this house, the house ratings for these would have been very high for good condition and quality. And this is what's pushing it higher. It's also a 1-story with an open plan. So this is why it's closing this upper band. Now, conversely, you can simply go down to, let's say, this house here that's currently for sale. So if I look at this house here currently for sale and I scroll through the pictures, you know, when I start flipping through it, I notice it's like, okay, not the best staging. You know, and again, I can tell there's Halloween decorations in here, and it's been on the market 162 days, fairly cluttered. You know, obviously somebody didn't stage it. You can see the difference between oh, look, there's even a dog in the house here in this picture. So you can see the difference between the 2 properties. That's why this one is selling in the upper band and closed. This one's not even selling in this band. And there could be condition issues, there could be, you know, quality issues, and obviously the staging and maintenance of the house could be in question. So this is why this house is not selling here, whereas this one sold in this range here. Now the program is automatically doing all this math for you, but most of the homes are going to follow within this darker blue pricing band. So you can see even this house, the subject property that we're rating here, we gave it a 5-star site, 4-star layout, 2-star condition, and 3-star quality. Well, the net effect is it's an above average house, but it's not a superior house necessarily. So this keeps us within this range. And you can see most of the homes, if you look at the red dots, so again, let's focus on the solds. Most of these homes are closing within this darker blue band, with this one a little high and this one a little low. And so this is giving us a, you know, most likely range that most of the homes are going to close within this band. So what we've also done on here is that the bands are created by the analysis with the sold comps. So what we've been able to do is on the notes, so if we go over to the notes tab, so you can see this range here. Well, the notes tab is simply telling us this $8,064 here is pricing. So this is where we want to do our price adjustments. The $8,064 is this range right here that we're providing to you. So what it's doing is it's saying if I change a rating, so if I go from 5 to 4, so watch what happens. So this range is going to change by $8,000. And this is just moving us inside the bands, up and down inside the band. So when you're changing ratings, you're simply just moving straight up and down because we're not changing the square footage of the house. We're just giving positive and negative characteristics. So you can see if 429.05 is my upper band, if I change it back to 5 stars, watch what's going to happen. Now that's my lower band of pricing. So we're simply just changing the value of the house based off of our ratings. Now, again, the ratings can come in very important. Let's say you list the house based off of this analysis, and you list, you know, at the suggested list price, and let's say the first 8 showings, you got some negative feedback, and actually, you know, some people didn't like the lot for whatever reason. well, maybe your 5-star rating wasn't accurate and you need to go adjust your rating based off the feedback you're getting. Because again, the consumer is giving you feedback, not off the closed properties. They're giving you feedback off the other properties they've viewed that day or that week or that month with their agent. So they're telling you relative to the other ones, your positive and negative characteristics. And, keep in mind, most consumers, most buyers and a lot of buyers agents, they won't tell you the house is overpriced, but their feedback is telling you it's overpriced. So they won't go specifically to saying your house is overpriced, but the feedback, again, if you've overrated something, you might need to make those adjustments on the fly. So that's how, it's working from that standpoint of being able to explain to them why their house is priced in a certain range. So that's most of, I'm going to open up the session to questions, for any of you that are online. There's a Q&A question session, or I think I see somebody raising their hand here. So let me see what these questions are here. And anybody who is, a user of APC, again, every single data set will be completely unique as far as the data that's produced. So just for another example, so that you better understand the pricing bands, let's look at this one here. And let's do a little trick here. So this house right here that we looked at, that was a very superior house. And this one here, let's say this one, and this one's not, but let's say for an example purposes, this one was on a body of water or had a view and nobody else did. And let's say this one's a foreclosure here and you want to get rid of them in your chart. Remember our price range analysis was $8,064. So watch what happens when I delete this one here. Again, you can delete them from the chart or from the list or from the map. But if I delete this one here, and if I delete this one here, so watch what happens. So now I've deleted 2 comps. My pricing bands have changed. And the entire analysis is changing as I'm deleting comps because it's only using those set of comps. But if I go in here and now I go to my notes and I look at my range. So now my range is only $6,328 because what I've done is I've taken the outliers away and I've adjusted the analysis. So now we have a tighter, in theory, more similar properties now, so your range of pricing is smaller. So again, if you have a neighborhood that's only 1 or 2 years old and all the houses are very good condition, all similar quality, similar type of lots, you will have a very small range and your pricing bands will be a lot smaller. So let's say you go to an historic area. Let's say we go to downtown Charleston and we go to an historic area, you're going to have much larger ranges of pricing because you have much different age of homes and finishes and layouts and condition, who's updated what. So again, these ranges that you're adjusting, the property adjustments here, will vary based off of the range of the data. So the key thing is, as an agent, is picking the most similar comps. So how do I find the most similar comps? And again, I'm leaving the square footage open. You can see in the analysis, I have a house here that's 2,616 square feet, but I also have a house that's 1,336. Leave the square footage as open as you can. Now, again, if I had a 6,000 square foot house in this analysis and I'm analyzing a house that's 1,850, get rid of those. I mean, that's not a reasonable comparison. But you can see I'm using all this data to formulate a more accurate analysis and visual analysis. And again, you can see here's the 4 under contract, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we don't know what they're closing for yet, but they're all probably going to close above the line or close to above the line. So that's what our analytics are showing us, is that the market is still pushing this higher. And the pricing bands, but it's also showing, look, these two here are at the upper edge of the pricing, and that's why they're not selling. So in theory, we really can't, other than the adjustments that are happening for seasonality and market conditions, this is really keeping you within this range. So I cannot price a house up here, and I can't price a house down here. It's because people are only willing to do so many adjustments in value. And again, this is something to maybe keep your investors or even your primary residence people, is that if they say, hey, I want to go buy this house here, and I want to put $150,000 into it. Well, if it's 375 and you put 150 into it, now you're 525 into it. You're putting your house now in a price range that really doesn't exist for this neighborhood. So essentially, you're over improving this house. And this is key, is that if, this is a good example. This house is 1,851 square feet. So I'll just change it to the exact square footage. So if I update it, what I'm saying is that, okay, let's say I buy this house and I basically, the site, you really can't change that, but let's say it has a superior site and you're going to adjust the condition and quality to it, then you can simply go in here and say, okay, well, what if I do have a superior condition and superior quality house? How high can that house go? Well, this is, if it's 375, you're kind of pushing the limit once you go to 440, in that range there. And again, assuming everything else is working for you, you can really only spend 50 or 60,000 and still be at the market value updating that house. So it's a good relative perspective to see, what your clients can and can't spend on the house. So this is, again, all of these are where these property adjustments come in that are based off of these band of pricing that are created off the sold comps. Now, obviously, the actives and the pendings, if you really want to have your seller focus, is like, there's the range of value. And remember, we deleted a couple in here. So this is, and again, if anybody has any questions, they're more than welcome to hit us up online. Or if you have questions in the future, we have our intercom tab down here on the right. So the intercom, if you press on this intercom and you have any questions, what it will do for you is it'll go through, and if you have questions, you can send us a question here and we'll get back to you in a timely fashion. Well, I hope everybody is doing okay in this environment right now, and we're going to still continue to do these webinars. Every 2 weeks we'll cover a different topic. If you have any other agents that aren't currently APC users, then they can also come to our website. It's just pricing.apcdata.net, where we are currently working with about 27 MLSs. If we don't have your MLS, we can certainly get the data with the data agreement. But I wanted to thank everybody for their time today, and wishing everybody the best. So feel free to reach out to us anytime, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.